Welcome to the Go Reflect Yourself podcast, bringing you real strategies to cultivate the life and business of your dreams, full of freedom and fulfillment, starting from the inside out. Working hard and staying busy will only get you so far. To truly become happy, content, and who you're meant to be, we have to move beyond physical capacities and begin to look from within. We have to change our thoughts and our mindset into our most powerful assets, transforming you to take inspired action so you can become a better version of yourself and to have the life of your dreams.
You are stronger than you believe. You have greater powers than you know.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Go Reflect Yourself. My name is Heather J. Crider and I am your host for today. I'm laughing because it just reminded me when I said hello, my son was handing out something last night and he was like, you get a candy bar and you get a candy bar and you get a piece of chocolate. And I don't know. It just made me laugh because I heard myself doing that when I was saying hello and I forgot how long I was saying hello. So anyway, aren't you glad you tuned in to absolute nothingness? But here's what I want to talk about today. Can 5 minutes a day change your life? Can your habits change your life? Let's talk about that. So recently it's so weird how certain conversations resurface, how things you're thinking about become top of mind to you, and call it the moon, call it energy, call it whatever you want. But they happen over and over. And you wonder, what's going on? And what I mean is I had a client really, really frustrated by all the things that she had to do on a daily basis. And I don't mean the real life things. I mean the list of shoulds. The list of, I know I should be reading, I should be journaling, I should be meditating, I should be exercising, I should be relaxing, I should take a bath with Epsom salt, and oh my gosh, I was just like, hey, quit shooting all over yourself, because what does that even mean? And of course, there's way more to it than that, but oh my gosh, quit shooting. That doesn't solve anything. And this really, really goes into a much bigger conversation. But what it really, really reminded me of is, why are you doing any of those things? Have you really thought about what you're doing and why? So I'm going to table that conversation. I'm going to shove that to a side for just a second. And if you haven't noticed by my conversations, they kind of go sideways and ups and downs and loop around, but I promise they always come back to a sort of a point. But so I had another conversation, and that's what I mean. It's so weird how things come back and resurface. A colleague was talking about habits and how she'd learned the power of gratitude. And so I was really intrigued, and I said, explain that to me. I was smiling, and she probably thought I was being condescending, and I wasn't, because I knew where she was going with it. But, I was asking her, explain that to me. And she's like, I've just been taking a few minutes to just think a little bit more about what I'm grateful for. And it's she's like, I'm scheduling it in my daily routine, just a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the evening, just to think about what I'm grateful for. And I thought, that's fantastic. How's that working for you? She said, I just feel better. So as we talked about it a little bit more, I said, why do you think you feel better? And she said, well, I am doing it. I am being consistent with it. So she said, I think that's helping. And I'm making sure I take time to do it. And I said, okay, well, why is that important? Why is it important for you to take time? There's a lot of things. Here's the air quotes. There's a lot of things you could or should be doing, but why is this important? And why do you think you're following through? And she said, because I've noticed my perspective and I've noticed just the shift. So I said, what you're telling me is you're intentionally taking the time for gratitude in the mornings and in evenings in her case, because you want to see yourself in a different feeling state, and you want to see the result of being able to have a perspective of appreciation. And she looked at me like I had 5 heads. And she kind of put her head sideways and looked at me and she said, yeah, I guess you're right. That's the result that I'm getting. And I guess that's what I want. And I said, okay, so it's your intention. That's your intention is your result. And so what you've got to do to get that result is make sure you stay consistent with journaling. And she said, absolutely. So what it prompted me to really, really think about is so much pressure that we have. I'll go back to the shoulds. These are the things we should do every day. And sometimes it's exhausting because we've got all the other crap. And I remember for myself, when I was really, really trying to increase my mental capacity for gratitude, increase my mindset for a more positive and productive way. And honestly, it used to stress me out so badly thinking about the daily routines. I was so bad, and I still am bad at, and I don't mean bad in a bad way. That makes no sense whatsoever. But I have a lot of books on my nightstand. I have a lot of books around my whole house. I've got a couple books on my desk right now. I have probably 3 or 4 on my nightstand, several in my living room, one on my back porch. And that used to stress me out terribly because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm reading 20 books at a time. I must finish this book in its entirety. And I really did. I used to really stress out about that. And I felt more pressure to finish the book, to follow exactly what the book is saying, to implement all these ideas in the book. And then if I picked up another book, I thought I was cheating. I'm cheating on the first one I picked up. And if I pick up a third or fourth, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cheating everywhere because I haven't finished this book. And yet I've got these. And oh my gosh, just stop it. And what I learned was I need what I need at that moment. And if I'm reading one book and there's one principle that I just love and it resonates with me and I want to put in action, that's great. That's the point of a book. That's the point of an idea. It's a point of a thought, a suggestion. It doesn't mean that there's all this pressure to change everything. It was really frustrating for me. I mean, obviously, as you can probably gather, I'm one of those type A over perfectionist type of people that put way too much pressure on myself. I really, really had to learn, number one, quit shooting all over myself. And that's really how I learned it, is what's all this undue pressure. And then what happens then is all you're thinking about are the things that you're not doing. You're thinking about the things that don't serve you and don't put you in a state of receiving and accepting good that's coming at you. Because what you're doing is you're actually putting up this giant shield, and anything that's good's coming at you and it's going, oh, hold on, I'm putting on the brakes and I am going the other way. Because you've got the shield up that's in this, I don't want to say a state of chaos because that sounds a little harsh, but it's a little stressful. So when we've got things every day coming at us, and let's be honest, it's not getting any, quote, easier from a modern perspective. And what I mean by that is that's how people view things. Is I've got kids, if you don't have kids or not, everybody has stuff. You have kids, you've got dinner, you've got bills, you've got to clean the house, you've got in-laws, you've got exes, you've got bosses, employees, you deal with your staff, you deal with, even if you have people helping you, you have to deal with those things. No matter where you're at, there will be things that come that are obstacles. And what I mean by that is a lot of people put this mindset of, if I become financially free and independent. That's a wonderful, beautiful goal. But a lot of people feel if I become that, I won't have a care in the world. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. And the reason you're wrong is because your mindset already isn't in a state to accept where you're at now. And what will happen when you have a life of freedom and independence is you'll create other problems. You'll create things that come along your way. If you have a yacht, you're going to have to deal with the fueling of the yacht, staffing it, cleaning it, having all your bum second and third cousins coming out of the woodwork going, hey, I want to come on your yacht, or whatever. You know what I mean, hopefully. But my point is we can always create problems. We if we're rich, we create rich problems. If we're poor, we have poor problems. If we have kids, we have kid problems. If we don't have kids, we have, single problems or whatever. Grass is always greener on the other side. Say it, slice it however you want, but stress. That's really what it's about. Things are going to happen. Life is going to happen, but it circles back to the mindset. And I'm not saying this as a black cloud. I'm saying it as a shift in perspective and thinking. So let's go back to my original thought and tangent, I guess. The 5 minutes a day. Can 5 minutes a day change your life? And I'm going to answer that with a question of what do you really want to accomplish? What is it that you want to change? Why? Why do you want to change? What does that even mean to you of change your life? So here's really a different way of looking at it. Can 5 minutes a day of being lazy change your life? Oh my gosh. Now we have just shifted into a whole other perspective. Lazy. What does that mean? Lazy means bad. Lazy to, again, I'll call it the modern society, meaning what other people's ideals are. Lazy means you're unsuccessful. Lazy means you're lazy. Lazy means you don't have anything. You don't have any thinking going on in between those ears. Lazy comes with a lot of negativity, right? That's what the average think. And I'd like to challenge the word because lazy, everything's a matter of perspective. But here's another question then, is what do you think 5 minutes a day is going to do for you? And I know the answers, and I know what you could do, but it doesn't matter if you don't put yourself in a mindset to receive it. And what I mean by that is, just think about it. If you do more, meaning if I journal, I'm going to journal frantically, journal for 5 minutes. I'm going to journal everything. Whew, got that done. Check that off the list. I'm going to meditate. Great. Which if you do meditate and you do it correctly, then that kind of defeats everything that I'm being a little sarcastic about. But does doing mean you're accomplishing? Does doing mean you're worth more? And you've already heard me talk about this by now, the whole soapbox on busy and hustle. And I'm going to just say it. I love the people who act as a martyr in, I have to do this and I have to do that. And I didn't get home till 10 o'clock last night because I was doing this and doing that. And, it's almost like a badge of honor of I have to do so much, and that means I'm worth so much, is really what that is trying to say. And I want to challenge you. Does that mean anything? If you're doing things till 10, 11 o'clock at night and you love it and your mindset is in a total flow of admiration and gratitude and appreciation, and you're receiving everything of your goodness, that's great. But chances are, if you're talking about it from a state of, I got to do this and I've got to do that, more than likely, You're trying to convince yourself that it means you have a worth that's deserving. And if you do these things, you'll get more, you'll be more, you'll become more, you'll have more. And maybe. But think about this though. If you try really hard, does that always equate to getting the result that you want? Now, I use the word success a lot, and success is obviously a huge word. It encompasses a lot of things. Everybody has success from a different level. They have today, successful to me today might be just getting a few things done. Successful to me today might be having a client accomplish something. Success for me today might be buying something that I want to buy, or honestly, just taking a shower. Getting a shower and brushing my teeth might be successful for me today. But successful also might be living on a mansion on a hill, or owning a plantation, or whatever. My point is, everybody has a different way they define success. And there's micro successes along the way. But is when people say, I'm trying so hard, I'm doing this so hard. It's all about the way you think. But does trying put you in a better state of mind to achieve more? This pressure of trying? So, do you feel better if you were to relax? Is it better to try harder, or is it better to relax and allow a better frame of mind to happen? And that's where a lot of people have these guilt and shame and I'm lazy feelings. And that's just it's a load of hooey, first of all, but it's also the pressure that others put on us. And it's this vicious cycle. And I'm not going to talk about the brain too much today from the perspective of our habits and how the chemicals are wired and fired and retraining those. Because this concept first, yes, from a physical and a chemical perspective, there's ways we can retrain those things, but it's all about awareness. And that's all mindfulness is. But from an awareness perspective, if you can have that aha moment, which by the way is a chemical reaction in your brain, things actually chemically fire when you have an aha moment, which is beautiful because that does start to retrain your brain. So I lied. I am going to talk about brain retraining, but from a frame of mind and putting yourself in a perspective of success or a perspective of why am I doing something? If you force a thought, and I've done this, there's been projects that I'm working on that I just must get done. I've got a time frame that I've set for myself and, 9:00 at night, boom, I want to be done. And guess what? That pressure without taking enough mental relaxing breaks, I can't think as well. I can't produce as well. I'm not able to put my mindset in a way that's going to allow the good thoughts to come in or the creative things. And that's what I mean by relaxing. You don't have to sit in a bubble bath all day, every day to have good, productive, happy feeling thoughts that have a clearer, better frame of mind. Yes, having a nice, good bubble bath with some Epsom salt, and of course that can relax you, and it's really, really great to reset you and for your body and all those things. But just being lazy, relaxing, putting your mind in a state to bring and allow better thoughts to come to you, then allows for more creativity, allows for a better ability to accomplish. So what that means is the better you feel, the more you allow, then the more you become, which then means ultimately you get what you desire. That's a lot, right? It's all about focus. So again, I'm going to keep circling back around here on the 5-minute a day thing, because I do believe firmly 5 minutes a day can change your life dramatically. And I know this for a fact. I've seen it, I've lived it, I've witnessed it with other people. But 5 minutes of the wrong things, 5 minutes of forcing yourself to journal under pressure, you're not going to see, you're not going to feel, and you're not going to appreciate. And it all comes back to the way we feel. When you focus on a feeling of what you're wanting. When I was mentioning earlier that I was asking my client why she wanted to journal, what that meant to her. You know, it's almost like, again, it's good for you. Well, okay, that's fine, but what do you really want? And what I was getting at is, how do you want to feel? Who do you want to become? Because if you can't connect to that, then you're not going to stay consistent. You're just not. If you can't connect to who you want to become by the way it's going to make you feel, then about day 6 or 7 is going to get hard. And if you haven't quit the consistency by then, you probably will by day 10 or 11. That's just the truth. It's okay. You can reset. You can ask yourself at any time. But that's why I like to ask these questions when you do something. And it's a very relaxing state of mind. A lot of people think that if you just go, sit in a swing and just stare, that you're being lazy and unproductive. And again, it's not true. You can think, it's going and outside and appreciating. It's taking mental breaks. It's taking, this is all mindfulness is what I'm talking about here. It's just putting it in ways that is an action. A lot of people, when I bring up the word mindfulness or meditation or presence or kind of the woo-woo-y new agey type of words, they're like, oh, that's not for me. And guess what? You're already doing this stuff. Maybe you're not training yourself in the way that could serve you better. But if you're stressing, if you're complaining, if you're happy, if you're mad, if you're sad, whatever, you're living. Everybody has an ability to look at a perspective from a different way. You just have to decide which perspective you want to be. You want to come when you're stuck in traffic, and it sometimes really sucks. Traffic can be a pain in the rear, right? It can be if you look at it like that. And you have a choice. When some guy, this is a true story, and this happens to me all the time, and I think it's a reminder. I probably have had some pretty decent road rage in my past, and from time to time, it crops back up. So now that I'm talking about it out loud, I'm actually remembering a ton of scenarios. The other day, I was going around a roundabout, and I like roundabouts, actually, and a lot of people hate them, but I think it's really good for traffic flow, but a lot of people do not know how to use a roundabout. People, learn how to use a roundabout. But a lot of people, roundabouts aren't meant for somebody to sit there at a complete stop for 5 minutes and let 20 cars go by. So the other day I was going around a roundabout and I was slowing down, and there was a car at about the quarter turn and they were coming, and I went ahead and went. I had plenty of time to go. They just needed to make sure that they didn't gun it, which you should never do. You go around at a nice even pace and you let people in. It just should be a steady flow of traffic, right? And I went ahead and went, and oh my gosh, you would have thought, I think it was a truck, because this has happened to me a lot lately, and it's not like I'm jumping out in front of anybody. Clearly, I'm trying to be as safe as possible, and I'll stop if I have to. But that's how a roundabout should work. And this truck, they started gunning it, and they were honking at me. You would have thought that, I don't know, that I just stole their dog or something. It was crazy. And I had a choice at that moment, though, because their reaction, I mean, seriously, did they need to react that way? I mean, was I really inconveniencing them? We're all in a roundabout. It's like, okay, you go, thanks. You go, yes. You go. It's the way it is. But did they really need to be that aggressive? And just think about your own experiences when somebody cuts you off in traffic, or, they fly by you at 90 miles an hour and then they slam on their brakes 2 cars later because, they don't know how to drive, which is a lot of people. But in that moment, I had a choice. I could get angry. I could be like, why are you mad at me? You're the one that didn't let me in, or all you had to do is slow down, or whatever. And again, it's not like I cut them off. We take turns. That's what we do. But I had a choice to let it bother me. I had a choice of how it was going to affect me. And I'm talking about it now, which means I'm giving validity to it. But I'm obviously talking about it to explain a point too. I had a choice in that moment. I could have talked about it the rest of the day. And you know what? I bet that guy in the truck did, or girl, I don't even know. I didn't even see the driver. I think there were two people in the vehicle, but I bet they did. I bet they were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe people around me cut me off all the time and blah, 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 blah. But that's the choice we have. Do we want to allow those things to change our perspective? Because then we put ourselves in a state of thinking. It's a domino effect. And what I did that day is my immediate reaction was, look at them. They got angry. Good for them. And I went on about my day. I made sure I was safe. And that's all I did. I did not let it affect me. I did not. And again, talking about it now, I don't like ever repeating stories like this, because what's the point? And that's the point of my point. Once you repeat things and you give validity to it and you talk about the negativity of it, it keeps your brain in a constant state of how you don't want to be. So we always have a choice. But if you want to feel and you want to ask yourself, it's what we focus on. And that's when I say, when we give validity to things, we have to choose very carefully what we're thinking about, what we choose to care about or to think about, because then that's what we care about. And if I'm focused all day long on how these people can't drive and they cut me off, that's all that's going to happen to me too. It's going to keep happening. And then I'm going to make myself upset, and then I'm not going to be able to focus on other things. So those states of minds and what we focus on and what we allow into our brains can serve us or really block us. And when you focus on the feeling you want, I want to get in my car today and I want to drive through traffic in a peaceful state of ease. And a lot of people laugh at me when I say that. They're like, have you seen traffic lately? Have you driven during rush hour? And I say, well, I really try not to because I don't want to. But yeah, yesterday morning, I drove first thing in the morning and it's pretty heavy traffic. And it took me a little bit to get where I was going. But you know what? I enjoyed the ride. I listened to a few things that I want to listen to, made a couple phone calls, which that's another story. But I put myself in a state of, I know that these obstacles could potentially affect me, and I'm not going to let them. I have the choice and the power of what I'm allowing to affect me. I used to talk a lot about the easy button, and it's so funny how you get different perspectives and the wisdom that we gain along the way if we can't self-reflect, if we can't really understand that reflection of why things happen. But anyway, I used to talk about the easy button a lot, and I used to say, trust me, there ain't no easy button. I've looked and I cannot find it. I used to say that a lot. And what I realized was, oh my gosh, what a limiting perspective. And what I meant was, there's no shortcuts. You've got to do the work. And I do mean that. But I took it a little bit in a way of if you allow, I blocked it. I blocked the ease. And that's really the lesson that I learned in understanding and looking for things. If you set the expectation by focus on the feeling you want, for example, like that journaling, if I'm going to journal every day for gratitude and appreciation, I need to ask myself why. Why do I want to do this? Who do I want to become by doing this? And if I can attach a feeling to that, then I can get excited. And then you would want to know what? Then I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to get that result. This process, if you, let me rephrase that. As you continue listening to this and future podcasts, I'm going to repeat this about 1,000,000 times. Because everything comes back to this. You feel better. Once you feel something, and you can attach to it. Now, this can get into a little bit more of the chemical neuroscience perspective, but that's when you really do start to retrain your brain. It's the feeling, it's the experience of the feelings that can create a new connection in our brain, break an old connection. It's a loops and there's patterns and there's all sorts of stuff going on, but it's the focus that you want. Can 5 minutes a day change your life? Can being lazy for 5 minutes a day change your life? Simple answer, yes. Real answer, if you want it to. If you focus on the feeling you want, if you honestly ask yourself why, if you honestly say, why do I want to do this? Who do I want to become by doing this? If I do this, if I keep doing this, I think one of my earlier podcasts, I was talking about attaching the feeling to the gratitude. This is the same thing. And the reason, is, again, is because how the feelings stick and it's the chemical response. But if I'm thinking about, I was thinking about that earlier, actually. I took a few minutes earlier this morning. I went for a run in one of the parks near us. And I just think it's so beautiful. Right now, things are nice and green. There's some really great mixture, variety of flowers. And I saw a bunny and some butterflies and hummingbirds are everywhere. And it was just really nice getting to run early in the morning through this park. And it's quiet. It's not a lot of foot traffic, especially in the morning. And I really tried to appreciate it then. And I did. I stopped a couple times and I specifically walked through a couple paths so that I could take a moment, especially looking at the flowers. And there was a new sidewalk and some new pavers. And I just really wanted to look at it because it was just beautiful and it felt good. It felt good to be there. And even a couple hours later, I took a moment of gratitude. And I re-felt that. And I really just said, I'm so appreciative and grateful that I have something close to me, relatively close, where I can go and I can enjoy that. And even as the seasons change, it will look differently. But I'm just really grateful. And I took a moment just to feel what that felt like. And I don't have to sit and ask myself every single time, what do I want to feel like? But taking it that step further and feeling it and just, kind of asking yourself, that's how you're going to remember it too. So I'm going to say this one more time. Can 5 minutes a day change your life? Can being lazy for 5 minutes a day change your life? And yes, because being lazy doesn't mean doing nothing. Being lazy means if you focus and you allow a better feeling to come in, then you become more, you allow more, you become more. It means you get what you desire. It's that simple. Maybe it doesn't sound that simple, but it's all about how we focus. And I have done this, so I know it. I I have so many journals that I have started and stopped because I used to put so much pressure on myself. If I missed a day, I thought, oh, that's it. I'm ruined. I'm done. I missed a day. I'm a loser. I missed a day. I'm unsuccessful. I missed a day. Uh-oh. I'm going to lose my house. And it is not that drastic. It's okay. It's totally okay to miss a day or two. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. And I put so much pressure and expectation on myself of these are the things I must do today. Okay, I've got a journal. Here's my time. Ready? Go. Journal for 5 minutes. Meditate for 20. Do this, do that. That's putting too much pressure. I'm not allowing my brain to relax. That's keeping my brain in a state of stress, raising all my cortisol, raising all my hormones, and putting myself into this flight or fight stage I don't need to be in. It's not worth it. That's why relaxing. Come up with a word that feels good to you. Lazy, again, a lot of people look at that as negative. Just sitting for 5 minutes, taking a deep breath, allowing yourself to relax, doing that just a couple times during the day, that can serve you so well. The more you acknowledge and you break patterns, the more that you can actually allow in. And let's be honest, who's the creator of your life? And I don't mean this from a bigger philosophical, spiritual way. You can say, well, God's my creator. And yeah, of course, but you're the one in charge. Okay, you could probably argue with me on that one too. You're the thinker of your thoughts. You are the ones that make your decisions. There's nothing that happens during a day that's a mistake. Okay? And this probably is on a much bigger spiritual, maybe even philosophical level. But the world is always conspiring for you, in your favor. It's what we think and it's our choices that allow things to come and to happen in the way we want. You're the thinker of your thoughts. But being lazy or relaxing or allowing things to feel better allows you to become more. You're the creator of that. You're in charge of that. So the more you allow yourself to be in that state of ease, the more goodness that's going to come. The better you're going to feel when you journal. The more positive things that are going to happen because you're journaling and you're putting yourself in that state. Okay, I have no idea how long I've been rambling, but I'm going to stop there and I'm going to segue into the tip of the day. But before I do, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving a gift to yourself, giving a gift of expanding a perspective. Even if you know all this stuff, even if you're thinking, boy, I feel like I already know this stuff. Good. This is just reinforcing it. Even if you think that I'm totally off my rocker, if there's one thing that you can get that can put you closer to your goals or in a better state of mind or reduce your stress a little, it's worth it. So thank you for hanging on. And now it's time for the Go Reflect Yourself tip of the day. Today's tip of the day is, in the morning, create a journal that you can carry with you through the day. I call it a joy journal. And in the morning, find 3 things. If you want to do this for each key area of your life and pick 1 or 2 things, but if you create a separate intention of how you want to feel in key areas of your life, it doesn't have to be a over-complicated exercise. Just take a few minutes in a morning reflection and kind of look at the key areas of your life. And you can say, I want to take time to feel good after I work out, or I want to take time and feel really connected to my kids, or I want to take time and really listened today to one of my employees. If you put it from the action perspective of it's already happened and looking at it versus I want to work out for 30 minutes or things like that. Put it in the action, the result, the how you're going to feel, or even it's going to feel so great at the end of today knowing how great I felt accomplishing XYZ. Things like that. That's one tip of the day. I'm going to go ahead and give you two, because if you close out your day in appreciation, in true appreciation, I call it a joy journal. And I teach my kids that a lot of times when they can't sleep, when they wake up, and I'll do this, I'll say, okay, start from 10 and go backwards and count all the things that you are grateful and that you really, really appreciate. And we've talked about this in the past of coming up with new things. But when you're in, like it's 1:00 in the morning and you can't sleep, it's easier just to go through your list. I'm grateful for my pillow. I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful that I have air conditioning. I'm grateful for that my kids are safe and healthy. But before you go to bed, if you can genuinely stop and take 2 to 3 minutes and write, and I really like to do this in each key area of my life because it always keeps me focusing on each area and looking at things that are important. But if you come up with something new in each of those key areas, today I'm really, really grateful that I held the door open for somebody and it felt good. It can be that simple. Those are the things that after you've already talked about to yourself, after you've answered to yourself, by doing these things, you want to feel better. Your goal is to be in a more positive, productive frame of mind. Your goal is, by doing these things, you can start having habits that really set you apart from what I call the average. And if you're here, we know you're not average in a good way. So once again, thank you for being here and let me know. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Go Reflect Yourself. For more inspired action or to stay in touch, head on over to goreflectyourself.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at #HeatherJCrider or HeatherJCrider.com. Until next time, this is Heather J. Crider challenging you to go reflect yourself. How you're feeling.